Welcome all, friends and strangers alike. I'm just popping on to announce that tonight is our next installment of the Lunatic Patrol. So tonight we'll be watching, episode 13, which means there's only 2 episodes to go left. Well, tonight's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to the final 2 episodes with everyone. So, for everyone who's been at these parties before, you know the deal. But for anyone coming across this for the first time, there's a Zoom link in the description at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will start by watching episode 12 of Doom Patrol. If you've never seen the show, we're happy to give like a general recap so you have some idea of what's going on. And if you're not interested in watching the show, but you just want to hang out with those of us who show up, feel free just to show up at 10 p.m. because the conversation afterwards often has nothing to do whatsoever with what we watched. If you're shy or having social anxiety and you just want to lurk around, feel free to leave your camera and microphone turned off. Is there anything else to say? I think that's going to cover it. Hey, Nolan, how you doing? I don't intend to be on here long. I've got a private session with somebody at 4 o'clock, but I can stick around a little bit if someone wants to talk for a few minutes. Hey there, Adela. Good to see you. How you doing today? I'm sorry it's been so long. This was the biggest gap we've taken in doing a Lunatic Patrol, I think, since these started. Things just got very busy with the channel. Hopefully we will finish up the last, after tonight, the last 2 episodes of Doom Patrol soon. And then we'll move on from that and begin hosting watch parties where we watch movies or some old Twilight Zone episodes or some shit. So the Lunatic Patrol parties will not end when Doom Patrol ends. Glad that you're doing well, Nolan. So, does anyone have something they want to discuss at the moment, or is this good enough for this video and I just see everyone at 9 o'clock? Like I said, I can't hang around for an hour, but I could rant for 20 minutes if someone has something to get me started. Martin says fire. If there's a fire at your place, you have to call 911. I can't do anything about that. And Gloff says, I'm glad you clarified the Michael situation. Yeah, and I think I made everything clear there, but I'm not at all upset at Michael. I just wanted to point out the kind of stuff that I didn't appreciate on the Discord. But so anything else to say on that? Just that the reason I'm here is not to provide another place for debate or argument. That the core purpose of my participation online is to provide a place where we can support and understand one another. And that, like Ken Wilber, we're integral about this, and that we don't look down on people who are at a different level of development than us. And so, and again, not that we do discuss ideas, everyone's free to disagree with ideas. And there's absolutely a place for things to be fiery and argued about. That's not why I'm inviting people into my space. I would prefer if the focus within our community was on us encouraging things we like rather than arguing against things we don't like. And that we aren't judgmental of others, and the only time we're offering someone the opposite perspective of theirs, for me, really is if they ask. I would prefer it if someone can come on our Discord and be as enthusiastic as they want about any idea, and that no one comes and shits on that in any way. That we don't criticize people for being fanboys or looking up to any one person too much. And that, again, I know this is like touchy-feely crap, but this isn't supposed to be just like every other YouTube channel. I'm trying to do something different based on my own preferences, which is that I would like it if we could encourage other people on their process. And I don't see any need to be too vociferous about where we disagree with others, unless they've said to us that there's something about us they want to be more like, and can they understand our opinion on it. But yeah, I felt like some people were being belittled by the comments that were there. And that someone else had tried to state how they felt the space should run. The comment that I don't approve, or I'm not quoting this, but essentially one comment to me said, I don't approve of how everyone is being so sycophantic with Jonathan Pajot, and that even if Jordan Peterson were to come on our channel, I would oppose people behaving that way. And I didn't appreciate that. The comment, okay, and I added the word sycophantic, that was me. But what I can specifically remember being said was that there was a criticism that people were too enamored with Jonathan Pajot, and that they would oppose that in the future. Whereas I've stated clearly that my spiritual practice is such that I'm attempting to be enamored with everybody I speak with, whether they're a famous podcast guest or an audience guest member. And if I'm ever not treating anyone in the community that way, I would rather have a criticism that I wasn't enamored enough with somebody than to hear criticism that we were too enamored with somebody. And I know that that's excessively touchy-feely, and that I'm essentially asking for a safe space around me where people, especially because people drawn to me in particular, and this may not be true of, well, anyway, people drawn to me in particular, some of them are very sensitive, damaged people. They're people who identify as monsters. They're people who identify as unworthy to live. And so I would like this community to be extra fucking touchy-feely and sensitive with each other. And again, not that I think safe space needs to dominate society in any way, but just this is my house as far as I'm concerned. And that is the idea of this. The same way that you wouldn't behave the same way in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting or in a church group that you would in some sort of public debate. While I enjoy discussing the ideas that we find helpful, I'm not interested in debating who's right. And I'm not interested in us being judgmental of one another for where we are in our path. This is supposed to be a safe space for people to be weird and vulnerable and themselves, and especially when they're expressing enthusiasm over something they find helpful. And I would be just as critical of anyone speaking to Michael that way. I feel the same protectiveness over Michael that I feel over everyone else. And I just felt that those comments had disrupted the feeling that I wanted to have on our Discord, especially because after the podcast with Jonathan Pajot, it was possible that people from his community would join our Discord. And I would want all of them to feel very, very welcome when they first came to us. And instead, the first thing on the general chat, I felt was judgmental, disrespectful, not only towards Jonathan Pajot, but towards people who appreciate his work. And again, I'm not saying my way of doing things is the right way. There's absolutely value to the way everything was stated there. I'm saying that I consider this my house. In the same way that I'm not going to go around telling other people how to behave on their forums. I'd appreciate it if somebody didn't try to dictate to our community how we should react to people that are perceived. And maybe the issue here was that Jonathan's perceived as being famous, and therefore we don't need to be sensitive with his feelings. But I see us all as equals. I don't separate Jordan Peterson or Jonathan Pajot because they're more famous or successful or because they get all that fucking applause. They're just as human, and they have the same faults. They have not the same faults and feelings the rest of us do, but they have their own faults and feelings just like the rest of us. And I think sometimes we're too critical of individuals who are doing their best to try to make the world a better place just because they don't understand the totality of everything and they're just expressing their side. Anyway, I'm also hoping this does not come across judgmental towards Michael, because again, I'm not saying my behavior is correct behavior. I'm saying that this is my space, and I'm politely asking everyone to follow my rules when you're in one of my parties or on my Discord. And I mean, that's not even a rule. It's more a request for a tone of how we treat one another. I would love it if, when we were talking about where anyone's ideas are lacking, that we think that we write it in such a way that if the person themselves were to come onto the Discord and see it, they would feel good about being discussed, even though they were being disagreed with, that they would feel good about it because there was a feeling of love, appreciation, and respect for their contribution to begin with. Whereas I felt like what was written there, if Jonathan Pajot or Andrea had read that, I felt they wouldn't get a feeling of being loved and appreciated. Anyway, that's got to be enough on that. Well, let's see what everyone else said. Let's see if there's a bunch of comments telling me I'm a judgmental asshole. So Martin says, you did make things clear. Gloff says, Michael and I have gotten into friendly disagreements before, but I see it as a challenge to better oneself intellectually. Yes, and I know there's people like you on our Discord, Gloff, where Michael, or not, even to get it away from Michael, just where that tone will fuel you to better yourself. But I'm trying to point out that I also want this space safe for the other kind of people who show up because of me, the people who are very, very sensitive to criticism, the people who come to me because they have things to say that they've never been able to say to anyone else before. And so I would just love it if we could be extra careful of everyone's feelings, because not everyone's as tough and resilient as you are, Gloff, and not everyone in our community thrives on that sort of challenge. And so, yeah, I'm glad Gloff says, but I agree, it's ultimately a space of support and betterment. Yes, just that's our primary focus, not to figure out right and wrong here in the objective sense, but to help people figure out right and wrong for themselves. Elder says, always been respectful this way. Gloff says, nothing wrong with safe spaces, to be honest. I've held that even when it was being made fun of back in 2014. Yes, and while the criticism that obviously everything can't be a safe space is very, very true. There's that other side. I agree with that entirely. But yeah, there's places for safe spaces. Mr. Wren says, hail to courage of our champion. I don't know what that means. Who's our champion? Pajot? The spirit we need right now. Gloff says, the issue is when a group tries to make everywhere a safe space. Yes. There's a reason you have a following, Mercury. You're an admirable person. Well, I'm glad you see me that I appreciate that. Thank you. Too bad it's too late in Russia now. I have to go. Well, good night to everyone going to bed in Russia then. And Martin's in Norway. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I'm now placing that name. Hi, Martin. Good to see you. That didn't click before that. Sally says, Discord maintenance is like weeding road ditches. You have to just summary execute as needed. Tough challenge for any social aptitude. Yeah, and I generally don't read that much on Discord at all. I just happen to, well, I looked at the general chat and saw that because I wanted to check and see what people were saying about the podcast. But I don't usually look on Discord, so I'm not sure how much of that has been going on. And I don't even mean that particular person. I don't know if other people have been behaving that way on Discord, because I primarily go to Discord just to do private messages with people and to post announcements. I don't read much. Occasionally I do, and I don't post much. Glove says, thanks for making me aware. Everyone could stand to be more empathetic, in my opinion. Excellent sentiment, although beware of absolutes. Some people are so empathetic they can barely function in the world. Mr. N saying, I am. Wow, that's very kind of you. I'll do the best I can to serve that purpose, but I'm really not anything special. This happened to me. I didn't make any of this happen. I just participated. You know, it's like the Joker says, what do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with? But the point is, when you cross this mentally ill loner with the rest of the world, you get what you fucking deserve. So if you're getting something from this is what, then you deserve it. And Sally says, can we just have a belligerent fighting voice chat just for balance? Actually, that's an excellent idea. That's something Icarus used to have, because it was very much a safe space, but it had one spot for ranting. And if the community wants that, I'm all in support of that. If we want to have a thread called something like, fuck you, I disagree obscenely, or anything like that, where people want a space where they can tell everyone off, and where even if people want to go there and vent the worst about me, and that's the point of that fucking place, I have no problem with that. That's very different than posting it anywhere else. And so if I'm too fucking touchy-feely and the Discord needs a balance, let one of our interns know about that idea, and we can make a space for telling people off, because there's nothing wrong with that when it's in its own space. Just like when you're fucking dealing with anger and, you know, emotions and shit, there's nothing wrong with going and punching pillows and screaming obscenities, you know, in a place where you're not directing it at people. So if we have a space where people choose whether or not to expose themselves to that, then you can say whatever the fuck you want about me and my friends there, if that's what the space is for. I would have no problem with that. Glove says, we will talk one day, sir. Yeah, you and I should record a podcast. I had meant to record a podcast with you on your channel way the fuck back before Andrew even quit. And just, that was back when I was still adjusting to this shit. And interacting with, adding Ryan to my interaction back then was about all I could handle. But yeah, the ball got dropped on that. So also, I don't know if you're still, because I've been very busy. Last I remember, you hadn't been active on your own YouTube anymore. But if you are and you want me on there, like I've owed you a chat for fucking years now. And I'd love to have you do a podcast with me, like to post on sorting myself out. And Glove says Andrew did have a roast me stream back in the day. Yeah, I remember that. And if Ryan ever wants to do a roast me stream, he can go ahead, but I'm not going to do that. I'm a sensitive person, and as much as I can handle friendly joking, I'm certainly not going to invite a roast of me. Because fuck, that shit'll echo in my head when I get depressed. Like, even if I find, sometimes I find something funny in the moment and the gestalt of me has no problem with it. But then when I get depressed and something, that I laughed at before, it can come back and haunt me later when I'm feeling suicidal. So, well, I definitely want, like, feedback on how I can do better. I'm not asking to be roasted or insulted in a friendly way, because I have a sub personality that will take that all personally, store it up for later. Sally says most Discord users understand the Discord doesn't directly show the originator's opinion with all convos. A lot of new people on Discord since COVID, though. Yeah, but also I want our whole Discord space to be somewhere where everybody feels welcome. And if one member of our community, especially a member of our community that everyone likes, is behaving that way, it's going to make somebody who's sensitive and who's shown up because they're fucking schizophrenic or something and they feel horrible about themselves and showed up to our Discord for that. And if they see that kind of thing, they're going to, in my mind, someone like that would be very afraid to post how they're working on themselves for fear that these high-end intellectual people like Gloff and Michael are going to come criticize them. Because that's the other thing is, some of the people in our Discord are fucking exceptionally smart, and you guys can find holes in anyone's idea. And we're going to have some people come to our community who are very sensitive, who maybe they're not even stupid, but they feel stupid. And they're going to have a harder time opening up if the community's behaving in that way. And Gloff says, don't sell yourself short, big guy. Don't worry, I'm not selling myself short. I'm giving myself away. I'm not charging for any of this. So I'm not devaluing it, because I'm not putting a price tag on it. And Grizz says, we call it the sandbox in our game forums. And Martin says, fuck you, I disagree. Yeah, that would be a great name. Fuck you, I disagree. For a spot where people can go and rant all they want. And Sally says, I was sort of kidding about the fighting room, but maybe. And yeah, and maybe that doesn't need to be on our Discord. Like, I'm not seeing a need for it. I have no problem if our Discord is just leans entirely towards we're way too respectful and welcoming and careful with everyone, because we know we've got some sensitive individuals. But if others feel our community needs that space, I have no problem with that. Martin says, then again, I feel that's what Facebook is for. Yeah, also, I feel like enough of the internet is covered with spaces where fuck you, I disagree is all over the place. Yeah, it seems to me there's plenty of spots for that. But other people are telling me that there's not plenty of spots for sensitive people dealing with major mental illnesses to feel safe. Opening up, that's something that is not just all over the place. And that's why I want to provide that, because people have told me that this is the only place they found it so far. Not that there aren't other places like that, just they're hard to find. And so I would like this to be one of those places. And Gloff says taking it outside the sandbox was insta-ban. Yeah, I also don't want to insta-ban anybody, though. I'm a big fan of second chances, and even thirds and fourths and seven chances when someone's honestly trying. Now, it's different if they're just claiming they're trying and breaking the rule because they think I'm a pushover. But if someone's honestly trying and they've got their own issues and so they keep fucking up, I'd like to be able to keep giving chances as long as someone's aiming at the good. Gloff says, I'm always busy, my man. Gloffcast is a project of passion. That's the issue with it. But I will return. I should do a roast me stream. Yeah, you go right ahead and invite that nonsense if you want. But I also feel no desire to participate in roasts. So even if I watched that, I don't know. I don't get any joy out of insulting people. Unless the insult comes across where people know I mean the opposite. Like, I'll joke that way, but what I'm actually trying to express is that I admire the person. And it's not making a fat joke at somebody who's actually fat. I might make a fat joke at somebody who's ridiculously fit to highlight how much better they are than me in that regard, if that makes sense. That's just not my style anymore. And when I was younger, I was the opposite polarity. I used to fucking make fun of people and, oh, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, I'm trying to be fucking cool and impress everyone by showing everyone that I can dominate you with humor. And yeah, I'm tired of that fucking part of me. It's embarrassing when I look back on it, and I would dominate a space by putting others down in a humorous way that had everyone giving me positive feedback for it instead of calling me out as being a bit of an asshole. Okay, that was a good one, Grizz. No one cares enough to roast you at Glove stream over. Fuck. See, and I will still laugh at that kind of shit. And he invited that. So enjoy, Gloff. And Daniel says, hi, Mercury. I will do my best to be there. Excellent. It's always great having you there, Daniel. And yeah, Gloff says, damn, Grizz, you got me. Sally says, maybe not a fighting room, just a smart dicks room, LOL. Gloff says, fuck you, I disagree. Grizz, make it a channel. Even convert my sandbox if you want. Bye, Sally. Thanks for stopping by. And let's see, I've done almost half. Oh, fuck yeah. I've got a private session coming up in 23 minutes, and I want to have a bit of time to 22 minutes. I want a bit of time to run around and do a few things before I take that meeting. So I'm going to get going in a minute. All right, yeah, nothing else written there needs to be addressed. I don't think. And Chris says, did I mention a watch party? Yeah, that was the point of all this. And once I turn this off and stop rambling, people who click will see it from the beginning. So yeah, we got a watch party tonight at 9 Eastern Standard Time. We're watching episode 12 of Doom Patrol. After that, there's only 2 left. And if someone doesn't feel like watching Doom Patrol, just show up at 10 o'clock instead of 9, because the episode will be over. And the only thing is you might get spoilers for that episode if you participate in the discussion after. But in no way does somebody need to be watching that stupid fucking TV show to participate in the party after. So show up at 9 if you want to watch the episode with us, and show up at 10 if you just want to chat. And beyond that, I should start doing this. Like the video, share, subscribe if you haven't. Yeah. Well, on the other hand, I don't want this to get too fucking big and overwhelming. I'm putting a lot of effort into this right now, and I feel like with both the live streams and the watch parties in particular, we could about double the number of people there and still give everyone a lot of personal attention. So since this shit's going on anyway, I would like to try to reach a few more of the fucking freaks and weirdos that don't know that it's okay to be a lunatic, and bring a few more people in over the summer while I'm active, because I'm going to have to slow down again next winter. So I am looking to kind of grow the channel a little bit, even though it's not something I want to get too big and out of hand. So we do appreciate all the support everyone is giving the channel. But yeah, supposedly it helps to remind people that liking and sharing and such fucking helps. All right, yeah, so that's enough of that. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Hope to see lots of you tonight, and I don't know, blessings and lunatic love to all.